everyone, good day. So we are going to talk about anthropogenic impacts and ecological footprints. So what are we waiting for? Let's start. We all know that our planet is an habitable zone, wherein it has the ability to create and sustain life-supporting environments. As the human population keeps growing, the demands and the pursuit to evolve have a huge impact on the physical environment. When we say anthropogenic impacts, it speaks about the changes in biophysical conditions, ecosystem, diversity, and natural resources driven by humans, whether actively or passively. While ecological footprint talks about compares how quickly we utilize resources and generate waste towards how rapidly nature collects our debris and provides resources. The story about how Earth was unfolding through the rocks provides relevant information of geologic events and the succession of life. The Anthropocene epoch is an unofficial unit of geologic time used to describe the significant impact on the planet's climate and ecosystems. So as you can see in the picture, we have the following events, followed by the dates, geographical extent, and geologic marker. So these are the events that had an impact or left an imprint in our planet Earth.
The introduction of hazardous materials into the environment is pollution. Pollutants are the term for these dangerous substances. Natural pollutants include volcanic ash, for example. They can also be brought about by human activity, such as factory runoff or trash. The quality of the air, water, and land is harmed by pollutants. The three major types of pollution are air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. The effects of air pollution can have several negative health effects. Lung cancer, heart disease, and respiratory infections are all at increased risk because of it. Water pollution. It refers to any physical, biological, or chemical change in water quality that adversely affects living organisms or makes water unsuitable for desired uses. And last is the land pollution. All discarded waste products from domestic, commercial, industrial, and mining activities are considered solid waste. Another concern is about land degradation. Defined as the deterioration or loss of soil productive capacity for present and future use, is a global issue that affects everyone through food insecurity, higher food prices, climate change, environmental hazards, and the loss of biodiversity and ecosystem services. Land degradation has long and short-term effects, and these are pollution and clogging of waterways, increased flooding, loss of arable land, drought aridity, and soil quality reduction. Another concern is about the global warming. When carbon dioxide or the CO2 and other air pollutants build up in the atmosphere, they absorb sunlight and solar radiation that have already reflected off the surface of the earth is what causes global warming. The natural causes of global warming are the greenhouse effect and the slow tilting of the Earth's axis, while anthropogenic causes, respiration, mining activities, burning of fossil fuels. Climate change can apply to a specific area or the entire planet. Weather patterns could become less predictable because of climate change. A rise in greenhouse gases causes an increase in atmospheric temperature, which causes global warming, which alters our climate patterns and has disastrous effects on both environment and humankind. The vast variety of life on Earth is referred to as biodiversity. It can be applied more precisely to all the species found in each area or ecosystem. It includes all forms of life, including bacterial species, plants, animals, and people. And here are the trends that could result to biodiversity loss. Number one is habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation for commercialization, invasive species, pollution, global climate change, population growth and overconsumption, illegal wildlife trade, and species extinction.
In terms of ecological footprints involved, all of the resources which people use for their daily needs and activities come from somewhere, or such basic amenities for survival must be produced within the confines of nature. The use of resources between two types of countries, developed and developing countries, would also differ. Developing countries, where most of the people struggle to survive in the use of while using such resources, while richer countries use resources more than their needs. And also, in terms of the data gathered, humanity is currently using resources 1.7 times faster than ecosystems can generate or can produce. Such ecological excessive spending would result to a more visible act of shrinking forests, species loss, drought, water scarcity, and many more. So how are our ecological footprints affecting the environment? In terms of a collaborative answer, if everyone was aware of their ecological footprint, there would be fewer environmental issues today, and such examples are seen in the PowerPoint at the back. In terms of pollution, human health, the environment, and even some parts of the Earth system, such as the climate, are all significantly impacted by pollution. So the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe are all having an impact on our health. So how about land degradation in terms of its interaction between the human populations? So almost all of the issues are by definition anthropogenic. Low agricultural yield and farmland devastation are subsequent repercussions or subsequent results of such phenomenon. So third-party impacts, including poverty, migration, and societal upheaval, could result from such a phenomenon as mentioned. How about global warming? So these alterations have an impact on the harmony of the Earth's natural processes, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Normally, greenhouse gases keep the Earth's temperature exactly ideal for species survival. However, once the Industrial Revolution got underway, more of these greenhouse gases were produced as a result of combustion of fossil fuels. And lastly, in biodiversity loss, the diversity of the earth is protected by several biomes. So, overharvesting of plants and animals for food and commercial purposes is one of these concerns. Many plants and animals are gathered for the use as pets, plants as houseplants, and even for scientific study. The introduction of foreign species, habitat degradation, and pollution are some of the things we do to biodiversity that causes most harm as well.
The term recycling has two common meanings. One is that we use recycling when we are reusing something, and the other one is that when we are discarding materials, turning them into another product like newspaper, cardboards, or even metals. The second way is decomposting. Rather than very valuable organic material, try then to use or make new products out of it. One example is the organic compost, wherein it is used in plants to give them nourishment, and at the same time, it will reduce soil erosion. The third possible way is energy from waste. It comes from biodegradable waste, also known as non-decomposing materials, wherein it can be used in cooking and for electricity. Next is the manufacturing. It is the assembly and recycling of obsolete consumer products such as TV, computers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and washing machines.
Next is reducing less waste. Generating less waste is much better than reusing. First is the strip farming, the practice in which cultivated crops are sown in alternative strips to prevent water movement. This alternative practice helps to stop soil erosion by creating natural dams for water, helping to preserve the strength of the soil. Next technique is the crop rotation. It is the practice of planting different crops sequentially on the same plant of lawn to improve soil health, optimize nutrients and the soil, and at the same time, it combats pests and weed pressure. Soil erosion can be prevented through the ridge and furrow soil formation, in which it lessens runoff. Next is the construction of domes, which usually checks or reduces the velocity of runoff so that soil can support vegetation. Possible way is the contour farming. This type of farming is usually practiced across a hillside land, is useful in collecting and diverting the runoff to avoid erosion. The very first action to take is to protect habitats. We are living in an environment where all living species are present. Usually, we can see birds, fishes, faunas, and floras surrounding our environment. Next is the controlled invasion of foreign species. Introduction in foreign species not native in the area can upset the balance among organisms in that area. Next is the wildlife parks. They take away pressures from hunting some endangered species such as crocodiles, reducing in the numbers and commercially selling their parts. Take is to help conservation organizations are the Worldwide Fund for Nature, Biodiversity Conservation Network, and International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources.
For the specific example of a human activity that can be attributed to the rise of the Anthropocene epoch, in terms of global context, China is the largest generator of carbon dioxide gas in the world, with 10,668 million metric tons emitted in 2020. The primary source of CO2 emissions in China is fossil fuels, most notably those that burn coal. About 55% of the total energy generated by China in 2021 came from coal alone, and because coal is rich in carbon, burning it in China's power and industrial plants and boilers releases large amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere. To address this problem, the World Bank stated that China already has an estimated 54 million green jobs with over 4 million jobs in renewable energy. China has also announced that it will no longer build coal-fired power plants abroad and will step up support for other countries in developing green and low-carbon energy. Whereas looking into the local scene, according to the UNDP Climate Promise, the Philippines shares 0.48% of global greenhouse gas emissions. In connection to this, the country commits to a projected greenhouse gas emissions reduction and avoidance of 75%, of which 2.71% is unconditional, for the period 2020 to 2030 for the sectors of agriculture, wastes, industry, transport, and energy.
So now move on to our summary of the topic. So when we say anthropogenic impacts, it also means that it is about the active or passive occurrence that change the biophysical conditions, ecosystem, and natural resources driven by humans. While ecological footprints means that how quickly we utilize resources towards how rapidly nature collects leftovers and provide footprints. For the related issues, problems, and concerns about the anthropogenic impacts on ecological footprints, we have pollution, land degradation, global warming, climate change, biodiversity loss. In order to lessen or to reduce this effect, we have the efforts and activities. And these are: for pollution, we have recycling, composting, energy from waste, remanufacturing, reducing last waste. For the conservation techniques in land cultivation, we have the strip farming, crop rotation, ridge and furrow oil formation, construction of dams, and contour forming. Also, we have important activities to protect the biodiversity loss. We have first protect habitats, control invasion of foreign species, wildlife farms, and conservation organization.